On March 24th, 1989, an oil tanker hit a reef off the coast of Alaska. The ship spilled more than 11 million gallons of crude oil into Prince William Sound, killing fish and birds and coating the beaches in very sticky, toxic black gunk. Responders went to work with the same technology they had used for decades and are still using now, the always uninspiring and occasionally just useless boom. Also, industrial paper towels, the oil industry's low-tech answer when things go oops. After the 1989 spill, Exxon set to work scrubbing the name off the wrecked ship itself. The following year, they rechristened the Exxon Valdez the Exxon Mediterranean. And then it became the Sea River Mediterranean, and then the SR Mediterranean, just for short, and then just the plain old Mediterranean. By 2008, Exxon had sold the Exxon Valdez to a company that named it the Dongfang Ocean. Then it had a collision with another ship, which left the old Exxon Valdez fit only for scrap metal. Then the ship was sold again and renamed again, and I kid you not, they renamed it the Oriental Nicety. The Oriental Nicety? Yeah, which we all know is actually the Exxon Valdez, will now be sailing into a shipbreaking yard off the western coast of India over the protests of environmentalists who say the ship has asbestos and heavy metals on board and it's too dangerous to break up. But thanks to a new ruling from India's Supreme Court, that's where it's going to be turned into scrap. The Exxon Valdez is finally going away, turned into a pile of junk metal, even as thousands of gallons of the oil it once carried still persist to this day on the Alaska coast. The Fortune Global list of the 500 richest companies in the world just recently came out again. Of the top 10, 7 of them are oil companies. Exxon alone made $41 billion in pure profit just last year. Wow. Oil companies are almost as great at making money as they are terrible at cleaning up their messes when things go wrong. Just about exactly 2 years ago, a pipeline ruptured along Michigan's Kalamazoo River. The company that owned the pipeline had ignored cracks and corrosion in that pipe for 5 years. When the pipe finally and perhaps inevitably gave out, the company did not respond or even realize anything had gone wrong for 17 hours after it broke. By that time, more than 800,000 gallons of tar sands oil had spilled into the river. Tar sands oil is not like regular crude oil. It sinks. It doesn't float on the top, it sinks, and it sank to the bottom of the Kalamazoo. So the company spent 2 years trying to invent new ways to clean this up, trying to figure out how to shake this crud loose from the bottom of the riverbed so they could try to wipe it up on the surface with the old bad technology. The name of that company, the company that owned that pipeline and trashed the Kalamazoo River, is Enbridge. The federal government fined Enbridge more than $3 million, which is roughly lunch money for a company with annual revenue in the hundreds of millions. 2 years after Enbridge's disaster on the Kalamazoo River, 2 years almost to the day, look at what's happened now. Another Enbridge pipe has burst, this time in Wisconsin. The spill happened on Friday in a field. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reporting, quote, 1 horse and 1 cow in the pasture apparently were the only eyewitnesses to the geyser that sprayed up oil 1,000 feet southwest of the pipeline. Along with the horse and the cow, Enbridge noticed this time that something had gone wrong, so they did shut off the pipeline. The Washington Post says, though, that even so, 6 very large tanker trucks worth of oil spilled out. And that was not even the only spill in Wisconsin this month. A couple of weeks ago, a pipe carrying gasoline spilled 54,000 gallons of gas. The spill got into wells that people use for drinking water, although they won't be doing that anymore. All of this is happening while state regulators try to get some accountability from a company that spilled coal ash into Lake Michigan back in October. Energy companies are good at making money. They are bad at cleaning up their mistakes. And because they are so good at making money, it can be difficult to trust what they are telling you when you suspect they are making mistakes. They can pay for a lot of speech. Consider their new moneymaker, hydraulic fracking. Hydraulic fracturing, right? This is the one where they blast a top secret, quite possibly toxic liquid into the ground, breaking up the rock and releasing natural gas. And sometimes leaving homeowners nearby with tap water they can light on fire. Or not. Back in February, the University of Texas announced the results of a new study. New study shows no evidence of groundwater contamination from hydraulic fracturing. Awesome, sounds great. And then you learn, as the world did last week, that the lead scientist of that study also works for a fracking company in Texas. He sits on the board of a Texas fracking company, and he holds stock, and he gets a nice annual fee. Meanwhile, folks who live near fracking in Texas are waking up to brand new earthquakes in their neighborhoods. One county in Texas has experienced 11 small quakes since early June. They used to have no earthquakes ever in that Texas county, ever. Now they've got deep injection wells and they're getting enough earthquakes that the insurance companies are starting to market earthquake insurance to the homeowners there. Maybe they could ask the scientist who sits on the fracking board if the fracking is causing the quakes. As we worry over the associated calamity, when we dig and drill and blast and mine and frack this stuff out of the ground so we can set it on fire for fuel, as we marvel over just how astonishingly rich you can get if you are the one selling this stuff, the fundamental question of what the cost of it is to all of us, even when you don't spill it, even when things go as directed, the question of how much this costs all of us is, of course, a matter of huge contention and huge political fighting. And it is a matter of huge contention and huge political fighting that just changed a lot because of something that was done this weekend by our next guest. Stay tuned for the interview tonight. It's next, and it is a big deal. Hold on.